stars above Earth's orbit shimmered like a silver sea, endless and cold. Ethan Gray, a quiet astronaut and engineer from the United Earth Fleet, floated in his small repair pod near the edge of the space station Odyssey. It was supposed to be a simple maintenance shift: tighten bolts, fix antenna relays, and return before sunrise over the Pacific. But that night was destined to change his life forever. As he adjusted the final communication dish, his scanner beeped, faint, repeating signals from beyond the moon's shadow. It wasn't human. The frequency didn't match any Earth or allied colonies. For a moment, Ethan thought it was interference, but the pulse formed a pattern: 3 long waves. Too short. Then silence. It almost sounded like someone calling. He hesitated. The regulations were clear. Unknown signals were to be reported immediately to command. But curiosity was something no human had ever truly defeated. He adjusted his thrusters and followed the faint beacon into the quiet dark. Minutes turned into an hour. The signal grew stronger until he reached what looked like a field of shattered metal, an ancient ship half buried in moon dust. The hull was covered in strange blue vines that glowed faintly. Ethan's pod light shone across alien symbols carved into the metal. "Odyssey, this is Gray. I've found something," he whispered. But before he could finish, static swallowed his voice. Communication gone. He sighed, realizing he was alone now. He should have returned, but something deep inside pushed him forward. The ship's airlock door opened with a faint hiss when he touched it. A strange, warm breeze brushed his face through the suit. That shouldn't be possible. The ship was supposed to be dead. He stepped inside. The corridors were dark, filled with floating particles that shimmered like dust made of light. His boots clanged softly against the metallic floor. Every step echoed like a heartbeat through the empty vessel. Then out of the shadows, a low hum rose, soft, melodic, almost like a voice singing from far away. Following the sound, he entered a vast chamber that looked like a throne room. Crystalline walls shimmered with blue light, and in the center, surrounded by an aura of silver mist, stood a figure tall, graceful, alien. Her form was humanoid but ethereal, skin faintly glowing, eyes like twin galaxies and hair flowing like strands of light. A delicate crown of living crystal adorned her head. Ethan froze. "I have waited so long." The figure spoke, her voice calm and echoing in his mind rather than through sound. He took a step back instinctively. "Who are you?" The being tilted her head slightly, studying him with curiosity. "I am Lysera, queen of the Alarian, or what remains of them." Ethan's heart pounded. He had read of no such species in the galactic database. "You're real," he murmured. "I was," she said softly, "a long time ago before the silence." Her tone carried centuries of loneliness. Ethan could feel it even through his suit. "What happened?" he asked. Lysera raised her hand and an image appeared in the air. Holographic memories. He saw worlds covered in shining towers, fleets of graceful ships sailing through the stars. Then fire, war, endless darkness. "We reached for peace, but others reached for power," she said. "My people were destroyed. I remained bound to this ship, waiting for someone who could hear my call." Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. "You've been alone all this time?" "Yes." Her gaze met his, and for a moment the silence between them spoke louder than words. "You humans," she said, "have the same fire in your hearts that once lit our skies. That is why I called to you." Ethan didn't know what to say. He felt small, standing before a being so ancient, yet there was a strange connection between them, something gentle and sad. Lysera stepped closer, her light reflecting in his visor. "Ethan Gray of Earth, I offer you a deal." He hesitated. "A deal?" "Yes," she said, her voice soft but firm. "My ship's heart, its power core, is dying. When it fades, I will fade with it. But if you help me repair it, I can give your people knowledge beyond your imagination. Technology that could heal your world, cure your sicknesses, and end your wars." Ethan's breath caught. The temptation was overwhelming. "And if I refuse?" She looked away, her expression unreadable. "Then I will return to the dark alone." Ethan's mind raced. This could be humanity's greatest discovery or its greatest mistake. "Why me?" he asked. "Why not send your signal to someone else, someone more powerful?" Lysera smiled faintly. "Because power is what destroyed us. I needed someone who still remembers what compassion feels like. Someone who listens before conquering." Her words hit him hard. For years, Ethan had felt invisible among the fleet's command, a quiet engineer with no voice in grand decisions. Yet here in the silence of space, an ancient queen saw something in him no one else did. He finally nodded. "All right. I'll help you, but I need to know what I'm agreeing to." Lysera's glow brightened, the faintest sign of hope in her ageless eyes. "Then listen carefully, human." She touched the air and a floating hologram appeared. Complex patterns of energy surrounding a crystalline heart deep within the ship. This vessel was once alive, connected to my consciousness. But when the core fractured, it trapped me between matter and light. To repair it, I need energy. Life energy. Not taken, but shared. A bond between my essence and yours. Ethan blinked. Shared? What does that mean? "It means our minds will touch," she said gently. "You will see my memories and I will see yours. For a brief time, our thoughts will merge. If either side breaks the bond, both will suffer." That sounded dangerous, but her tone wasn't threatening. It was sad, cautious, as if she feared he would refuse. He looked around the glowing room at the silent symbols of a lost civilization. "You said it could help humanity?" "Yes," Lysera said. "Once the core awakens, it will release its stored data. Everything my people learned about energy, biology, and peace. You can take it back to your world." Ethan took a deep breath. "Then let's do it." Lysera extended her hand. The air shimmered between them. Her touch didn't feel cold or alien. It felt like warmth spreading through his suit, like sunlight after endless night. Suddenly, visions flooded his mind. Vast galaxies, cities of light, songs of harmony. He saw her people smiling, laughing, building wonders. And then he saw the end. The betrayal, the fire, the sorrow. At the same time, she saw his memories. His childhood under the blue skies of Earth. His mother's smile. The loneliness of space duty. For the first time in centuries, Lysera felt something pure. Empathy. The connection pulsed between them like a living heartbeat. The ship trembled. The glowing crystals on the walls began to awaken, humming with energy. "It's working," she whispered. "The core is responding." But before Ethan could answer, alarms echoed through the ship. Red lights flared, symbols flashing across the walls. Lysera's expression changed, fear. "No, it's too soon. Someone else has found us." Ethan turned to the view window. Through the swirling dust outside, he saw a silhouette. Another ship approaching fast. It wasn't human. Its design was sharp, predatory. Lysera's voice dropped to a whisper. "They are the ones who destroyed my people." Ethan clenched his fists, heart racing. He had only just met this alien queen, but now her survival, and possibly Earth's, depended on him. As the enemy ship drew closer, Lysera turned to him with urgency. "Ethan, you must choose. Stay and fight beside me or flee and take the knowledge to your people." The ship shook as energy weapons charged outside. Ethan looked at her, at the sorrow in her eyes and at the growing light of the awakening core. Whatever choice he made next would decide the fate of two worlds. The ancient alien ship trembled as warning lights flashed red across its walls. Ethan Gray stood in front of the glowing core chamber, his heart pounding. Outside, the enemy vessel grew larger by the second, dark, sharp-edged, and hungry. Lysera's calm voice broke through the chaos. "They have found me, Ethan. The hunters who destroyed my people." Ethan looked at her, fear and determination battling inside him. "Then we fight," he said. Lysera's eyes glimmered with surprise. "Fight? You would face them for me?" "I didn't come this far to watch you die," he replied firmly. For a long second, the alien queen only stared at him. Then a faint smile touched her lips. "You truly are human." The ship's metal floor pulsed beneath their feet. Blue light ran along the walls, forming paths toward the command center. Lysera extended her hand. "Come, I will show you how to use the ship's systems." They rushed through corridors that came alive as they passed, lights flickering, panels opening, engines humming again after centuries of silence. When they reached the bridge, the wide crystal window showed the enemy ship moving closer. It was black like the void itself, with long arms that glowed red at the tips. Lysera placed her hand on a glowing console, and streams of energy formed symbols in the air. "The enemy ship belongs to the Draxel," she said. "They feed on worlds, consume knowledge, and erase those who resist. They will not let you or me live." Ethan frowned. "Then we need a plan. Can your ship fight?" "Not yet," Lysera said. "Its power core is awakening but weak. It can protect or flee, not both." Ethan thought quickly. Then I'll buy us time. You focus on restoring the core. Lysera shook her head. You cannot survive against them. He smiled slightly. You don't know humans very well yet. Without waiting for her answer, he ran to the console beside hers. Though the symbols were alien, the logic of machines was universal. Energy readings, shield frequencies, weapon channels, it all made sense in his engineer's mind. He adjusted the ship's outer shields manually. Outside, the Draxil fired. A beam of red light hit the side of the alien vessel. The walls shook, and sparks of blue energy danced across the bridge. Ethan gritted his teeth. Shields are holding. Lysera watched him, her glowing eyes filled with wonder. For the first time in ages, she saw hope not in ancient power, but in a human's courage. You are stronger than you appear, Ethan Gray, she whispered. He smiled without looking at her. We humans are full of surprises. Another explosion shook the ship. Lysera moved to his side and placed her hand on the control sphere. The core is stabilizing. I can give you more power. Energy flooded through the systems. The lights brightened. The ship began to move, its engines roaring like a storm. Now, Lysera said, we strike back. From the ship's hull, beams of blue energy erupted, cutting through space like lightning. They hit the Draxil vessel, breaking its front armor. The enemy ship wobbled but didn't fall. Instead, it released smaller drones, metallic spheres with glowing red eyes that began to circle the Queen's ship. They are sending parasites to drain our shields, Lysera warned. Ethan's eyes darted to the radar. Then we take them out one by one. He remembered the manual thrusters and guided them with precision. Each drone that came too close was blasted apart by the alien ship's defenses. But the numbers kept increasing. Lysera's voice turned serious. Ethan, there are too many. The bond between us, if I strengthen it, you can use the ship as if it were an extension of your own body. But it is dangerous. How dangerous? If your mind breaks, both of us could fade. He looked at her. Do it. For a moment she hesitated. Then she reached out her hand again, and light poured from her palm into his chest. Ethan gasped as visions filled his mind. He was no longer just standing on the bridge, he was the ship. He could feel its vast body, sense the energy running through its veins. Stars burned around him like candles. Focus, Ethan. Lysera's voice echoed inside his thoughts. Do not let the power consume you. He nodded, though his eyes were closed. I can do this. He felt the drones circling, saw their paths as glowing trails of red. With a thought, he sent blue fire shooting from the ship's side, destroying them in a wave of light. The Draxil ship returned fire, but he dodged, moving with impossible speed. Lysera smiled faintly as she felt his strength merging with hers. You fight as if this ship were born for you. Ethan laughed softly. Guess I just needed a new set of wings. The battle raged on. Each explosion lit the void like a sunrise. For every hit they took, Ethan responded with two. The alien Queen's ship, once silent and forgotten, now danced through space like a living storm. Finally, with a final burst of power, Ethan and Lysera combined their strength. The ship's core blazed white, sending a beam of pure energy that pierced the Draxil flagship straight through its center. The enemy vessel split apart, its fragments drifting into darkness. Silence filled the bridge. The stars returned to calm. Ethan gasped for air as the bond slowly faded. He felt weak, dizzy, but alive. Lysera approached him, her light dim but peaceful. You did it, she whispered. He smiled faintly. We did it. She placed a hand over her heart. For centuries I waited for someone to hear me. I thought the stars had forgotten me. But tonight, you proved that hope can cross any distance. Ethan looked around at the glowing chamber. What happens now? The ship's core is alive again, Lysera said softly. Its knowledge will be shared with your people. But I cannot leave this vessel. My essence is bound to it, Ethan frowned. Then I'm not leaving either. She looked surprised. Your world needs you. He shook his head. My world has millions of people. But you've been alone for centuries. No one deserves that. Lysera's voice softened. You would stay in the stars with me? He smiled. Someone has to make sure you're not lonely anymore. For a long moment, Lysera said nothing. Then slowly she reached out and touched his hand. You are a strange species, Ethan Gray of Earth, she said with gentle warmth. Strange and wonderful, the ship began to glow brighter. Through the windows, he saw a pulse of blue light racing toward Earth's orbit. Data, knowledge, hope. A gift from the last Illyrian queen to humanity. Back on the bridge, Ethan stood beside Lysera as the engines hummed softly. "So," he said with a grin, "what now, Your Majesty?" Lysera looked out at the endless stars. "Now," she said, "we rebuild." Time passed differently aboard the alien ship. Days turned into weeks as Ethan learned about Alarian technology, history, and the beauty of their once great civilization. With each lesson, he realized how much humanity could learn, not just about science, but about kindness, patience, and unity. And sometimes, when the stars outside grew quiet, he and Lysera would talk, not about war or duty, but about simple things. About the sound of rain on Earth, about the glow of the twin moons of Alarion, about memories and dreams. In those quiet hours, the ancient queen smiled again, her loneliness slowly fading. Far across the void, the humans on Earth received the transmission. Scientists, engineers, and dreamers worked together to decode it. Inside were designs for clean energy, peaceful technologies, and medicine beyond imagination. Humanity stepped into a new golden age, all thanks to one man who followed a lonely signal. Years later, explorers from Earth discovered a glowing ship orbiting a distant star. Inside, they found a message carved into crystal. "Here rests the queen of the Alarion and the human who taught her that hope never dies." The story of Ethan Gray became a legend told for generations, a story not of conquest, but of compassion. A story of two beings from different worlds who met in the cold silence of space and built a bridge of light between their hearts. Because sometimes the most